the beginning of this year, I found myself living in Mombasa, Kenya. That's in Africa, the city basically on the other side of the world from Orlando, Florida. And now towards the end of this year, I find myself living in Orlando, Florida, more specifically next to Africa in Disney's Animal Kingdom. After living in the chaotic but beautifully amazing city of Mombasa for 3 months, I was wondering how Disney's version of Africa would compare to the real deal. Before I say any more, I need to tell you that I'm by no means an expert on Kenya or East Africa. I lived there for 3 months and I was immersed in their culture, and in that time I learned a lot about what life is like there, but I still just got a taste of what the culture, the people, the language is like there. And also, Africa is a huge continent with many different cultures and countries. I'll be comparing Disney World's Africa to my time in Kenya, which is in East Africa, which is what Disney World's Africa is modeled after. There is so much vibrant culture, architecture, and landscapes in East Africa, and I was wondering, would Disney be able to capture the essence of what it's like in East Africa? I'll be honest, I was really impressed. They paid so much attention to the details when they created their Africa. They really used the Swahili language a lot. And there's this bike in a street that I passed by often. It's just kind of a permanent fixture of this building because it's always there. There's a bicycle that reminded me so much of this. There's so many little details like that. I gasped when I saw this cannon. And there's this fort there called Fort Jesus. There's a lot of history behind that, but there's so much similarities between the architecture and just look of the buildings between Mombasa, Africa, and Disney's Africa. And of course, there's the Mombasa Marketplace, the store in Disney that is directly named after the city that I love. It was amazing how much they replicated East Africa. Details like the water, the very, very abundant electrical wires and telephone poles, the wordage on the signs, the doors. They even included a baobab tree. It's described as an upside-down tree because the branches look like roots and the roots look like branches. There's so much significance and interesting stories behind this tree, and I love that Disney included it. There are many Disney visitors that will never get the opportunity to visit East Africa. Africa, Asia, and the other countries around Epcot are an amazing way to bring just a small part of different cultures to one location for people to experience and appreciate. And it totally inspired me to visit Asia, because when you're standing in Disney's Africa, you can walk several yards and you'll be in Asia suddenly. And I know there's so many things that I don't understand about the little significant meanings behind the flags or the fountains, because I've never been to Asia or Nepal, and it just inspired me to visit those places. Overall, I am just stunned and in awe of Disney's Africa. I love just sitting there and seeing the sights, seeing the details, and really appreciating what they have created there. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that maybe I've inspired you to travel Africa and maybe even visit Mombasa, or at the very least be inspired on how much effort the creators of Disney's Africa put in to make a realistic recreation of a section of East Africa. I'll see you next time.